What up, people? It's your boy Che from Gooner Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. This time is to talk about my transfer rumours, so it's Eagle Eye. Let's talk about transfer rumours. So let's start off with Torreira. At the moment, Torreira is the one that's capturing all the Arsenal fans' imagination. Whenever Arsenal or even tweet these days, I just followed with a bunch of people that says, announce Torreira, announce Torreira, announce Torreira. Well, let's give you some updates with regards to Torreira. So the reason why this deal hasn't been announced, simply put, is because he hasn't had his medical yet. The initial Arsenal plan was to do his medical while he was out in the World Cup, but Torreira said no. Wanted to focus on the campaign at the World Cup, which I can understand. You know, they're in the quarterfinals, they face France on Friday, and he's entirely focused on that. The deal has been agreed. It's for 26.4 million. It's just a case of Torreira having a medical, signing a contract, and we're good to go. But everything else in terms of principle has been agreed. Wages have been agreed. The fee's been agreed with the club. Torreira is still keen to come to England. I know there was some stories last night that frightened Arsenal fans with regards to the fact that his father came out and did an interview, and his father seems to be a vocal one, but has come out with a lot of quotes with regards to the fact that, you know, it's a big move, that it's a scary move going to England. So much so, on my phone it popped up saying that Torreira has cold feet, which I thought was a really misleading line. As far as I'm aware, I don't believe that he's had cold feet. It's just a case of the fact that, like I would imagine most professionals, they're focused on one thing at a time. And this is a big game for Uruguay, and a winnable game. You know, France are not, they've not been faultless in this World Cup. And I think defensively they've been good, but I think Uruguay have shown that they can really play good attacking football when they want to. And he's entirely focused, and rightly so, on this game. So for me, I'm not particularly worried or concerned. You guys know this is the signing that I, as an Arsenal fan, am most excited about, just because he really looks like the type of player that I think a lot of us felt that Xhaka would be, and he hasn't turned out to be that way. But let's hope for the best with this guy. So another person that we've been linked with throughout the summer is Banega. And a lot of stories are reporting now that he has snubbed Arsenal and their offer. To me, I speculate how serious our offer was. I suspect what has probably happened is maybe Emirates had a conversation with him, papers have just ran with it and made a bigger story than it actually is. I said at the time I didn't really understand where he would potentially fit in, a 30-year-old that you're more or less guaranteeing a starting spot to. To me, it didn't make a lot of sense. So I was always very skeptical about the move. And as it's turned out, really, it just seems as though it's been a lot of hot air, to be honest. Sorry, something distracting me. There's been a lot of hot air, and I don't see this going anywhere, if I'm being completely real with you. But it looks like Banega has snubbed a move to Arsenal. And to me, fine. Like a lot of you in my last video commented on, if you're a long-time subscriber of mine, you know the name I've been banning about for a long time has been Torreira. For me, I highly rate this guy. Highly rate him. One person that I've also mentioned that a lot of people seems to believe is now just Lee's suggestion, but I was also one of the very first people to spout this name, and that is Gaya from Everton, who's very recently signed a new contract with them. These are two players that I've been banning about their name for a very, very long time, but particularly Torreira. Torreira, when I watched him last season, I just saw a younger Vieira. Everything about him. I don't think he's as defensively astute as Vieira was, but the way he has control of the ball, control of the midfield when he really plays, tackles well, attacks well, has good vision. To me, I think that's a useful player to have. Plus, we don't have a lot of players with a good amount of size to them. And I'm pretty sure Torreira is about 6'4". And just sticking a 6'4" black guy in the middle of the central midfield is going to terrify any team. So to me, I like the idea of bringing him on. I don't think it will happen, I must be honest. But if we're looking at central midfielders and number 8 who can attack and offer something different, why not this guy? To me, this is the guy that I would like us to look closer at. So now, obviously, we're deep into pre-season training. Emre's had his first 2 days of training with the boys. 3 days, actually, we're training with the boys. And I like watching their videos because I like to see how the players interact with each other. But also, we have a new manager now. So I like to see how they interact with the manager and how they read training instructions and things like that, just to see if they're receptive to his methods. And seeing our crazy new assistant manager who's just screaming and shouting, just like we were promised, just like was advertised. What I really found very interesting about this was the fact that it seemed like the players are working hard, because a lot of them are playing for their futures. You know, when you think about people like Lucas Perez, Mustafi, and Mustafi, funny enough, was the only one who looked a bit uncomfortable. And I'm wondering if he's already been told that he's surplus to requirements. You guys know how I felt about Mustafi since day one. You know, I think everyone else is just catching up to the way I felt about him. I never rated him. I don't rate him as a central defender. It's not just the fact that he's relatively small to be a Premier League defender. He just has no good attributes to him. So to me, the sooner we get rid, the better. I don't think we'll get anything near our 35 million, but you know, they may have some dumb idiot that decides to pay somewhere around about the 15 to 20 million pound mark, mainly because of his age. He's 25, 26. Good age for a central defender. He is a Germany international. So if we can market it like that, we might be lucky and someone like West Ham might buy him. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But yeah, that's Mustafi. Also, I'm looking at Perez, and I'm thinking to myself, you guys know I'm a big fan of Perez, but maybe we're being linked with all these attacking players, some of which I talked about in yesterday's show. And it seems like a lot of outlets have picked up on that. No, I'm not necessarily saying that's because of yesterday's show. I'm just saying a lot of outlets have picked up on that. But I think for me, what is pretty interesting is the fact that Perez has been back training and he's keen to stay all of a sudden. I wonder if it might be good just to get rid. You know, he's 30 years old. Realistically, is he going to get into a team with Lacazette and Aubameyang there? I have my doubts. We're looking for a left winger. I just don't see a place for him, really. And I think for me also what's interesting goes on to my last story, and it sort of kind of involves Rob Holding. So I know Rob Holding recently signed a contract in June, a new contract in June, but I suspect we might loan him if we bring in another central defender. Which brings me on to my next story. So Manolas has decided that he's open to a move away from Roma. He's open to a big move, and he's interested in Arsenal, but also a lot of other clubs that are interested in services, so Chelsea, people like that. We should be going for Manolas. To me, I think it's great that we brought in a central defender, one with experience. I like Greek defenders a lot. I think generally they know their job. So I like the fact that we've brought in Socrates, but I feel like if we can bring in someone else as well, alongside Socrates, sell Mustafi, you loan out Holding, you keep Mavropanos to learn from Socrates, and then Chambers is the one trying to break in between those two, I think you're good to go. So for me, I would loan Holding and see if he's got it. Because I think the loan helped Chambers. I think it will help Holding. And if we can bring in someone like a Manolas as well alongside him, oh my goodness, I'm starting to get really hopeful for the season. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Those are my stories I'm going to talk about. You guys let me know what you think about the stories. Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, crush, destroy, DDT the shit out of that like button. I appreciate it every time you guys do that. And also hit that subscribe button. I'm creeping closer to 3,000. I thank all of you who have subscribed so far. Let's keep this movement pushing and get me closer to that 3,000 mark. That's my target before the season starts. All right, people, I'm out of here. Take care. Deuces.